Welcome friends, I'm Becca. Thank you for joining me once again at this magic house for a pick a card reading. Today we are focused on a situation that something is hidden from you. So you think you know one thing, but really something else is going on. We're going to be diving into that. First, I want to say welcome to my new subscribers, particularly those people coming over from the Witch City Witches podcast. Love to see you all here. Please like this video, subscribe. I have in the description box my new link to buy me a coffee if you would like to support the channel and the work I do here. And yeah, so let's get started here. Today I have pages for you to pick from. The Page of Wands, the Page of Pentacles, the Page of Swords, and the Page of Cups. And these are from my Newsite Tarot, the New Age Tarot from, this is clearly a very beat up box. This is something I bought in the late 80s, early 90s that I love the artwork, but I don't read with often because they have very different interpretations than the Rider-Waite-Smith system. It's just a different system. So I like to use them as indicators to choose from. So when you're looking at them, take a look at the imagery, take a look at, the overall feel of each one of these page cards. So not necessarily what you think that page means in the Rider-Waite-Smith because the artist wasn't working with that system. So take a moment, take a look at all of the images and see which one calls to you. I will remind you that these are general readings. There's only 4 of them. There's a lot of people on the internet. So, not everything will resonate with everyone. And, there might be 1 or 2 things in my reading that calls to you. Let me know in the comments what worked for you, what didn't, and we'll incorporate that in our readings next week. Okay, welcome everyone who chose the Page of Wands. So we have here, the Page of Wands in this deck is like an astrologer. He brings the natural world, the natural order of the stars, and the planet's motion down to the earth. And so he's this conduit between the natural order. So he's this astrologer figure. So that's what the Page of Cups is in this, the Page of Wands is in this deck. So your situation, we'll do the situation that you think at the bottom and the situation that actually is at the top if you're, watching over here. So the situation that in the Aquarian deck, we have the 8 of Cups, the Magician, and the Knight of Cups, and then helping that along from the hanson-roberts, we have the 7 of Pentacles and the Hanged Man. So there's a situation that you've put a lot of work into, and you think that, this 7 of Pentacles over here and the 8 of Cups together, you're really feeling like, you've put enough work into this. It's not working out. It's hard. The Magician had all of this promise. You were like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. I got this all together. And, you fit this situation with the 8 of Cups and the 7 of Pentacles, and it's not working, and you want to abandon it. And, the Knight of Cups is showing also the work that you've been putting in, really emotionally and just creatively, that you've been really trying to move forward with this. And the Hanged Man is telling me that you feel like, you feel like you just need to step back from the situation. It's not working for you. It's not what you thought it was. And you need to really think about things from a totally new perspective. It's not what you thought. It's not what you thought when you were the Magician and you're putting all this work into it. It's not turning out this way. What I'm seeing with the situation that's actually going on, I'm seeing here the 7 of Cups here in the middle, and, contrasting with the 7 of Pentacles and the 8 of Cups. And I think there's a lot more options than you've really considered in the current situation, that you've been really focused on a particular goal. And there might be other goals going on. With the Eight of Swords and the Two of Swords over here, I feel like you've put a lot of constraints on the situation that you're in, and that is what is blocking you from reaching success, because your definition of success is very narrow. And you have to have these five things to be successful in what you're working on. Whether this is a business project or a romantic situation that you feel like you've put work into it, it's not working out, you're just gonna toss it and start over again. And what I'm seeing is that it's not working out because of how you've defined success. And if you're interested in in pursuing this, if you think that your goal was your original goal was worthy and worth spending time on, then I would really think about how have you been defining success? What are those milestones that you have thought are so important that are defining you? Because the Eight of Swords is really being trapped within your own mind and putting up barriers to yourself that can feel insurmountable. And the Two of Swords it's the need to make a choice, and it's really blocking your heart and trying to make that choice mentally, and it can be very by blocking she has her hands crossed over her heart, and that can block a very important way of making a choice that is available. You don't have to. It doesn't have to all be in your head. It doesn't have to all be rational. And the King of Pentacles over here is telling me that this might be somebody in your life who is he's a king. He's a ruler of earthly matters. So this is someone who maybe they are in a position of wealth. They could, or conversely, they could, be a farmer. It's somebody who works with real physical things that you can hold in your hands. He's a very sensual king. So this might be a romantic partner, or this could be you in a romantic situation. But yeah, I think that there's this other energy that that can be called on. This is a situation that can be looked on in a different way. And over here, the Chariot we haven't talked about, I think, goes with this Two of Swords very well, in that the Two of Swords needs to make a decision and be kind of stumbling over what that decision might be. The Chariot is finding a way to bring two distinct things together and harnessing them to go forward, because there's the Sphinxes on the Chariot. One's dark, one's light. He's got the yin yang symbol on his chariot. He's harnessing these two energies that that you might think don't work together. And it's sort of like the Temperance card in this way, but the Chariot is a much more hands-on, forceful type of way rather than an alchemical type of way. So I think that there's definitely you're at a point now that you think you want to give up, and maybe you do. I think think about the Hangman and take that time to look at things from a new perspective, meditate on the situation. Think about what you were really looking for with this Magician. You gathered all these tools together, you gathered all this strength and knowledge, and you're going to start a journey. What did you really want? Because giving up now with the Eight of Cups, it's certainly an option. And if you're exhausted with the Seven of Pentacles, it's a fair option. But there is, there are other options out there, and there are other ways to see the situation, and there are other ways to define success. So I think that this can still be, this situation can still be turned around for you. It's not over and done with unless you decide that it's over and done with, and that's completely up to you. But there are other options out there that you can call on to manifest whatever the magician had on his table there. And also, with the Page of Wands, that your chosen card here, like I said, it is the astrologer. It is, connecting as above, so below, which the magician does as well. And so I think that, think about that as well. Maybe you want to look at your astrology a little bit more. Maybe you want to look, if this is, I'm seeing another person involved here, so I think this might be a romantic situation for some of you. For others, it's probably a business situation. Or it could be like an artistic, creative thing that you're working on. But you might want to look at the astrology of the situation or the other people involved, and look at look at what your options are, because I think that you have a lot of options out there, and you're really only limiting yourself. So I hope that was helpful. Thank you so much for stopping by. Hello, everyone who chose the Page of Pentacles. Now, the Page of Pentacles in this deck shows someone who is a bit of a gambler, bit of a risk taker, and also, it's the Wheel of Fortune. He's very much focused on the Wheel of Fortune, and his vice can go sometimes good, sometimes bad. So, but yeah, definitely, you can see betting office at the top of this card. He's definitely, he's a risk taker. So that's the energy that so, he's a risk taker, and that's the energy that drew you to this pile. So, let's take a look. You can have the cards, we'll have the cards over here. The bottom half of the spread is how you think things are going, and the top half is what's going on behind the scenes that you don't know. So what I'm seeing with, first of all, the Hierophant, jumps right out at me as what you think is going on. This is a very structured card. This is someone who does things because they've just always been done that way. This can be a religion, this can be a relationship, I've seen it in readings come up as military service, but it's very structured. This is, the Hierophant reads from the book and says this is how things have always been done. Supporting that, you have a different page. You have the Page of Rods here, and so you're thinking that you're kind of waiting for inspiration, because along with the Hierophant and the Page of Rods, you have this Nine of Pentacles. And the Nine of Pentacles is someone who is financially well off, but they can be very physically isolated. And the Page of Rods, or Wands in some decks, this is the Aquarian, he is, he's a messenger of inspiration, of fire. So you think, so the situation that you're in, it's a very stable situation, but you're isolated and you're kind of just waiting for that inspiration. You're waiting for a message to come. And you also have here the Two of Cups and the Knight of Wands. The King of Wands. And so the Two of Cups, often a relationship situation, a beginning of a romance. It can also just be a close friendship. It can be a beginning of a creative project. I know lots of people come to these readings looking for romance, and I think this very much could be a romantic situation that you're looking at. In which case I'd say the Hierophant definitely relates to a marriage situation or something religious about this relationship. But it can also, it can be business. It can be a new business relationship that you're just starting to talk to someone and you can really connect with someone. And this King of Rods is, I think, he's either you or he's someone in your life that is this, very commanding figure, fire, inspiration, business. He can be a little bit fickle. I'm feeling like he's, I'm I feel like the King of Rods is being fickle, and it's here next to this Nine of Pentacles, which is this card of this woman alone in her garden. And I don't know, it feels like the situation that you're in right now, you expected it to have the stability of the Hierophant. I'm really like, I feel like for most of you this is feeling like a romantic situation. Even though, you chose Pentacles, which is usually a business money situation. I think there's a lot of emotion going on here that that you thought that the Hierophant, maybe a wedding was coming. There's going to be some sort of, if this is business, you thought a contract was happening. And that's the situation you think right now. Things are building. The Two of Cups, it's a beginning. Things are building. What I'm seeing up here with what's happening behind the scenes, there's a major change happening for you. There's just, you do have the Page of Pentacles again, which is, your chosen card. It's showing up again, the Page of Pentacles. Here in Aquarium is more of a Rider-Waite system, so this is more of the traditional meaning of a student, someone who's learning something. So I think that you are about to get a message. You are about to get some information that is definitely going to teach you something. You didn't know this information, and you've got the Death and Judgment here. This is a rebirth. Some people say, oh, death is always a rebirth. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's just an end. But when it's paired with Judgment, Judgment is a resurrection card. And so these two cards together are rebirth. That something, I think it's going to be pretty traumatic. Next to death, you have the Four of Swords here. So it's definitely going to be you pausing and pulling away from things that are going on. It's going to be traumatic. You're going to need time away. You're going to need time to yourself. More time to yourself than the Nine of Pentacles is currently giving you. The Nine of Pentacles, I think, it's not an isolation that you have chosen. So you feel like, it's good, you're happy, but you'd like more. The Four of Swords is an isolation that you choose. Like, no, I need to rest. I need to just sleep this one off. And, it's next to death. So I think that something big is going to happen. Something big is going to change. And I think this Page of Pentacles is going to bring you that information. And it's going to be life-changing for you. But, next to Judgment, we have the Sun. And it's really, yeah, it's going to be a rebirth for you. There's going to be so much new joy in your life that, yeah, like, whatever you're thinking the situation is right now, wanting this stability, thinking that this is going to be this very traditional thing that you're moving into, it's not going to happen. I think, with Death and Judgment up here, this is like, no, there's something going on behind the scenes that you do not know about that is going to just disintegrate what you thought this traditional structured situation, this life that you were building was going to be into. But, you have this Sun coming up at the end that, like, it's really going to be better. That whatever you think that you're doing right now, and it's okay. You think right now the situation is okay. It's building towards something. You're going to find out that it's not okay, and there's something much better waiting for you once that goes away. So, yeah, so I think, like, you chose this Page of Pentacles, that you're feeling risky right now, that you need to take a bet. When you hear from this Page of Pentacles what this message is, what this information is, what's really going on, because you're going to get this information. And it's not going to be, it's going to be some sort of like real specific, there's going to be evidence behind it. It's not just going to be rumor and innuendo when you find out what's going on. There's going to be no doubt. This is like, book knowledge, like the Hierophant teaches from book knowledge, the Page of Pentacles learns from book knowledge. So this is something concrete that can be pointed to, that you're not going to have any doubts that this is the message that you're waiting for. And yeah, it's going to hurt. It's going to be life-changing. And it'll trip you up a little bit, and you will want to take this Four of Swords to just step away. But with Judgment and the Sun coming up, like, it's really, there's something really beautiful coming for you. You just need to get through the fire to find it. So I hope this was useful for you. Thank you for stopping by. I'll see you again next week. Welcome everyone who chose the Page of Swords. You have chosen some very intense cards today, but I mean, you chose a pretty intense page for this reading. The Page of Swords in this deck is very much a community leader. It is someone who is looking to rebuild situations when they've fallen apart. So yeah, there's this kind of nuclear apocalypse happening in the background, and the clouds clear and the sun comes up. So this is a very intense card. And you're in a very intense situation right now. There's a lot going on with, well, you can see them right here. There's a lot going on with these cards. So right now, I think the thing that's really calling to me down here is the Seven of Swords. And I think you are really doing everything in your power to hold the situation together right now. And, you got the Three of Cups. I think, this is... I'm seeing this as you putting on a brave face, and that, there's social situations, there's, like, maintaining this happy profile, but you're surrounded by swords here. I mean, the page you picked was swords, and there's so many swords here. So there's just a lot of mental energy happening. There's a lot of conflict happening. But with, the cards from the Aquarian down here, you have the Seven of Swords, the Three of Cups, the Knight of Pentacles. Reading them together, you're doing, like I said, you're doing everything in your power to hold the situation together. You're being sneaky like the Seven of Swords. You are out there in the fields like the Knight of Pentacles, really trying to plant everything to get those crops going. The Three of Cups, you're having friends over, you're communicating with family, you're trying to be happy and get through this. But you have, next to the Seven of Swords over here, you have the Ten of Swords. That something is ending for you. And you have the Page of Swords over here, which is like rumors and learning things, kind of... I'm thinking like these two things together, the Page of Swords and the Ten of Swords, there's a real backstabbing situation happening. And yeah, I think that you're in some sort of battle, because the Seven of Swords here, and then what's happening up here, the Five of Swords, those are kind of like, bouncing back and forth to each other, that, the Seven of Swords you win, the Five of Swords someone else wins. This, the Ten of Swords, the Page of Swords happening down here. I mean, you've got a lot going on right now. I'm feeling for you here, because yeah, there's a big burden on you right now. And no matter how hard you're fighting with a Seven of Swords, no matter how hard the Knight of Pentacles is working out in the field, you know this Ten of Swords is there. This is, this isn't one of the cards that, this is happening. The situation is over, and no matter how hard you're fighting for it, it's not working. You don't need me to tell you that. You don't need the cards to tell you that. It's not working. And then when you see what's going on in the background, in the Aquarian, you have the Four of Pentacles, the Ace of Swords, the Five of Swords. Like I've already mentioned, the Five of Swords. This is, if the Seven of Swords is you getting the better of someone, the Five of Swords is someone getting the better of you. And, the Four of Pentacles is all about maintaining your resources as a stability against, against need. So I think that, in this case, it's not a miser card. It is very much like, building up your defenses, building up your resources. And the Ace of Swords is it's a new thought, it's a new beginning. So I think, and I'm kind of ignoring the big issue here, that you have the Devil and the Hierophant together, and you can see they're almost the same card. They're very much flip sides of the same situation, where the Hierophant is this priest who tells you what to do to maintain order, and the Devil tells you what to do to destroy order. So they're two sides of the same coin. They are counsel from outside, trying to get you to go in one way or the other. And really what I'm seeing with this whole spread is that you are caught in a loop. You're going from one extreme to the other. You're trying to find a center path, but you're really just bouncing. You're bouncing between the Hierophant and the Devil. You're bouncing between the Seven of Swords and the Five of Swords. You're in this death spiral. You're going down and you're not finding your path. And I think think about the imagery that you chose here in this Page of Swords from the Newsite deck. And it is, it's this man who is looking down at this destruction, and he's with this woman who is leading the way into the better world. And that, this is a family structure that they are holding together and leaving behind the destruction and moving on into something better. And I think that that's something to really think about, and think about this Ace of Swords as well, because this is showing me that the way out of this pattern that you're in, the way out of this cycle, because, I think with the Devil and the Hierophant and being the cards that you're not seeing, I think that you think that there's this petty disagreements that are happening, and really it's much bigger than you think it is. There's a lot more going on. There's a lot more people involved. And where you think that things are winning with the Seven of Swords, you're losing with the Five of Swords. But with the Four of Pentacles, you need to hold on to what you have, and that's that structure of, maybe it's your family, maybe it's your friend group, maybe it's your community, but really hold that together. And this Ace of Swords, there is something new that can break you out of this cycle, but you need to really focus on the new. So you can't fix what's going on. You can just start something new. And I think that that's what I'm seeing in the cards here for you right now, is this spiral that you're in. The way to break out of the spiral is to leave the spiral. And this Ace of Swords, with this new thought, this new inspiration, this new way of thinking, I think is your way out of that. So I really hope things start looking better for you. I know that there's a lot going on for you right now, and I'm feeling this for you. So I'm glad you stopped by today. I hope I was helpful for you, and let me know what you thought in the comments. Thank you so much. Hello everyone who chose this Page of Cups for their reading. So the Page of Cups in this deck is a mystic. He is, just kind of using his cup as a scrying bowl to get that information. So let's see if we can use our scrying bowl here. Okay, take some tea. So, the situation that you see so we'll look at the bottom part here as a situation that you know, and the top part here is what's hidden from you. And the situation as you see it is, you're really trying to find a balance point. You have the Temperance, the Strength, and the Three of Rods with the Aquarian deck, and then you have the Ace of Cups and the Ace of Swords with the Hanson-Roberts. And I'm looking at this Three of Rods. I know there's two major arcanas, but I'm looking at this Three of Rods here. And the situation as you see it right now, you have done the work, and you're waiting for it to come back to you. You're waiting for it to pan out, but you feel like you've done this work and you've put enough work in. And with temperance, it's very much bringing together, water and fire and this kind of alchemical creation. And strength, is this it's this gentle strength of harnessing, this wild animal to your power, to be your friend. So I think that, between temperance and strength together, you really feel like this gentle approach is the way forward. And you're just gonna, you're gonna blend these things. They're all gonna work. And you have the Ace of Cups and the Ace of Swords here. And I think that that's, very much goes together with temperance, that you think that all of these things can just be blended. And so that's the situation that you're in right now, that you think that there's just going to be this balance point. You can take these very disparate elements together, you can blend them together, and it's going to work. You've done the work with the Three of Rods, and now you're waiting for that to pan out. What I'm seeing with what's hidden from you, what the situation is that you're not seeing, there's more work left to be done. You've got 2 8s up here, which generally are, their 8s are practical work to accomplish things. The 8 of Pentacles it's very much a craftsman who's doing the work, who's really focused on the task. The 8 of Rods is things happening quickly. So I think that what you think the situation is this very slow-moving, gentle process of blending these energies, and what's actually happening is very quick. It's going to happen before you know it, and it is going to require more work than you thought. That you thought that things were already done, that you've done the work, that you just need to wait for it to pan out. But I think, really, the card that's up here, like both the High Priestess and the Fool are really talking to me here. That the High Priestess wants, there's some sort of, there is a hidden knowledge. So this is like a hidden knowledge spread. The High Priestess is the queen of hidden knowledge. And she doesn't want it to be hidden. She wants you to find out. She wants you to know that knowledge. She wants you to dig into those arcane books and, read up on tarot and astrology and mysticism. She wants you to be the mystic of this Page of Cups. And the Fool wants you to just go for it. That this sort of careful balancing energy that you've been doing, it's not what the situation calls for. The situation calls for running and not, just not really worrying about what's going to come up next. But at the same time, you don't need to worry about what's coming up next if you've paid attention to the High Priestess and done your homework and read up on, on what's happening. So I think that there's some real spiritual guidance that you can dig in for, and you might think that I think temperance and strength to me right now are really speaking to me about ego, that you think that you know the situation, that you know what's going on, that you can handle it. And you can handle it, but not relying on the information that you already have. You need to, talk to the High Priestess, find out what else needs to be learned. And then you have, the Emperor over here with the High Priestess, that there's not just the spiritual knowledge, but there's this knowledge of the real world. There's this knowledge of how things work. There's this knowledge of, taking up space, of projecting that power that needs to be learned, that you're not going to be able to blend these powers of the Ace of Cups and the Ace of Swords. You're not going to be able to harness the power of temperance or strength like you want to, until you really understand what those things are that you're trying to balance. So, and I think that those are the High Priestess and the Emperor here, that you need to both learn the mystical knowledge, and you need to learn, like, what are the rules? What are the laws? How do things actually work? How does society function? So I know these are very, big thoughts. Um, but then, with the Fool, you kind of have to like learn those things and then just run with them. I think the Fool and the Eight of Rods here together is this fast moving, like, once you have this knowledge, you'll just kind of run with it. But there's physical work to do. There's actual. This is, I know I said the Page of Cups is this mystic, but this isn't a situation that that you can just meditate on and it will solve your problem. This is something that there's something that needs to be done. So there's a lot of major arcana here. I'm not going to say whether this is a romance or a business situation, or, like I said, it could be just like a spiritual crossroads that you're at right now. It feels more like a spiritual crossroads with all of the major arcana cards. But there's a lot of major arcana. Things are definitely happening for you. There's two aces. Things are definitely moving, and I think all together these are very positive cards. But there is more work to do. There is more learning to do. So yeah, that would be my overall thought on this is, don't think that what you know right now is the end, because there is more to learn. There are more secrets that need to be told to you, and yeah, and you need to be a little bit more freer, like the Fool, to really embrace them and to run with that. So I really hope that this was useful for you. Leave me a comment, tell me what you thought and how it resonated, and I'll see you back later. Thank you so much for joining me.